run into that.
So
So
we're recording now?
yeah, we're good. So
Just
what do
like
you think
that?
of the setup?
Setup is cool. I walked in.
Do you have? I got one of my buddies back home in Windsor's like does videography and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I'm still waiting for him to come down to like truly set it up. But
Oh, let's
even
get
the
it.
mic stuff is like it's
This
still
setup is
learning curve
amazing,
for
man.
me.
It's-
So how long have you been doing yours?
Me?
Yeah,
This is 5+ years, my man.
really.
Yes, sir.
What made you want it? Well, so one thing that I've not necessarily I'm still trying to figure out is like how to let people introduce themselves without like saying like I still revert back to like, okay, just introduce
Yeah.
yourself. So
Yeah.
I'm still. How do you have people do you usually introduce themselves?
I do the introduction a little
Yeah.
bit, you know what I mean, and things like that. So I'll always be like, I'll say a fun fact about them, and I'll let them kind of take the bull by the horns.
Did you do that right from the start?
You
kinda like
I
moved
played
along
with it,
yeah.
man.
So
So a rebrand within a rebrand.
yeah. So introduce yourself kind of thing.
Well, Rory from London, Ontario, life coach, podcaster, host of the Mitchell Portland Leach podcast.
Cool.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
So, and this is like I was gonna joke with you and say, okay, you're I get to sit back and just chill today because like you're the one person that I want to like pick their brain and like really, figure out just different stuff
Talk
that I'm
life,
still
man. Let's get it. Yeah, for sure.
So when you started your podcast, what was the like motivation behind it?
Coming into it 2016, social injustice issues, right?
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
taking a
Okay.
knee.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of ventured me into the realm of what it is I wanted to talk about. So I sat in my backyard, long story short, and said, hey, listen, there's a podcast coming. And boom, 5 years now.
So you just thought at the point like I want to I want to say what I have to say basically.
Voice my opinion. I feel like a lot of people don't understand this thing that we have a call of our mouth is our instrument.
For sure.
It's a tool. It's a tool for us to build, do what it is we need to do, and things like that.
So was it like guest powered or like did you have a plan when you started? Like, I feel like, because with me, I don't really have a plan. It's like, the spaces here kind of fell into my lap. And on top of that, it's just, you can really take advantage of the situation. I could really take advantage of the situation. So like you were like, okay, fuck it. I want to do something like this. And then you started doing it. Were you having guests right away?
No, so I did a lot of solo episodes, and a lot of people like the solo me because I'm outspoken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like to, what I say is ruffle a little bit of feathers, but in a good way. It's from an accountability perspective.
Yeah.
You know that from health and fitness. And
Yeah,
things
for
like
sure.
That, right? So it's always saying, I always say this, it's always pushing the agenda, not letting the agenda push you.
Sure.
And I feel like when it comes down to voicing our opinions and things like that we want to get into, you got to do it. You have to do it in such a palatable way. I came on this podcasting game very raw, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like I was like really pitchy in the mic. I used to be like huffy and puffy in the mic and things like that. And then I just found my realm.
Yeah, and that's like stuff that I find like even consistently like I'm surprised, not surprised, but at the amount of awareness you have to have, and even to like even to talking to the mic and have like constant audio and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, all these tools will just do it for you and you don't have to do it. And then, you hear some stuff like cutting in and out and you're like, why is that? And you're like, oh, it actually matters. So it's just small stuff like that I guess probably was like figuring out at the beginning.
It's different for me because like sitting across from you right now. So it's like that adjustment. But I've already met you, things like that. You come to the store, all that good stuff and whatnot. So it's like I have that kind of rapport with you already.
Yeah.
So I can make it easy, and things like that. But sometimes I'm telling you, get nervous when you get in this mic. And I've had guests, doing a remote podcast, and sometimes you get nervous. What I would say is you never want to be nervous when you get into conversаtions.
Yeah.
Say you're energized.
Yeah.
Right? And not you put that label on as energized.
Yeah, totally. Like and so I'll kind of like I don't feel any, like I've said this a bunch of times already. Like I'm not a person, like if someone was to like, if there was something on the line where I had to talk into my phone and be like, like advertise or even just give an opinion on my phone, like that would stress me out. Like I would 100% figure out a way to back out of that if it's not just a matter of my own decision. But I don't feel any of that, like having people on. And I've had people on that, like I did a few at the beginning by myself, which was just more trial, less like,
trial.
Yeah. And then having people on that I'm comfortable with, but even then, like going forward, even you are like kind of stepping out of like, we know each other, but we don't know I mean, maybe we kind of can put pieces together as far as our own stories, but ultimately I don't know yours. You probably don't know mine as much. And I get more excitement thinking about having people on that I have no idea, because there's not that like first barrier of like nervousness. And I don't know what so far, but I'm just contributing it to the environment, and like having someone in here doesn't feel like there's pressure on it or something. I don't know.
What I get a lot from you is there's a lot of warmth to you, right? And you're a very easygoing person.
Do you think the space contributes to that just as much as my own? Because
I just think it's you. I think it's you as a person. You know how to relate. You're a relatable person.
Really?
You know,
yeah.
You're human.
But I don't feel like I would be able to be that if I like rented a space, was in a little office room with a little like podcast set up. Like I feel like I wouldn't be able to be myself in that situation versus something that's, you know, essentially my backyard, you know, home away from home. And it's like all those barriers are down. So it's weird that I'm a super, not necessarily introverted person, more introverted than not, but I haven't had any like genuine nervousness, I don't think, to like sit down and talk. Yeah, sure.
Do you feel like, how do I say it? We're all perfectionists in our realm, right? But do you feel like you doubt yourself a lot?
Doubt myself.
And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way.
No. I don't know if, no, I don't think I'm a self-doubting person.
Yeah.
I think most of the time it's probably, no, I don't think so.
Because like I said, as I walked in here, I've seen you many, many times. We've talked.
Yeah.
You have something special here.
Yeah.
So hone into it.
But I don't think that's a doubting thing. It's just like, I think people are not, I don't want to use the word impressed, but like taken back when they see what's actually, how like it's unique the space is and like stuff like that. So they come up here and they're like, oh, this is so cool. When it's like, to me, that like that essence of it being so cool is, you know, 3 years ago. So when I say like, you say you have something cool up here, I'm like, well, this is just like where we hang out all day. So
but you're turning it into something. Right?
Trying to, and like I've always wanted to, but it's hard to give up your personal space ultimately to, you know, for instance, like renting it out as a venue space and stuff like that. Whereas like if I could just use it for stuff that friends, family,
sure,
you know, people within the circle want to use it for.
And I'll say something about that with friends and family and collaboration. I think we need more of it, especially in this city.
Yeah.
And there's so many different people from different realms. You could be in the gym realm, content creation, you name it, big business builders, things like that, real estate. And I feel like we need to see more people come together.
Yeah.
And not have it make it be about the ego per se, but let it be about, let's sit down in buildings, let's sit down in conversations and really just shed light. Yeah. Because we're a community. This is London, Ontario.
Totally.
You know, we can really do a lot, you know, in the city.
Yeah.
There's
that's
a lot
like
of inspiring voices.
That's like the epitome of what it is. Cause I don't, again, people, not, I've said it so many times, like there's the fact that there's zero expectations and I can have my friends on and like be just as excited having them on as I would, you know, anyone else, because there's no expectations. It's like, I value the conversations I have with the people that I have conversations with every day. And it's like, that all is entertaining. And, you know, if people want to listen, then cool. If not, and whatever comes of that is there.
There's a lot that's going to come from it, man. Trust me. I see it. I see the reps, right? You're putting up Steph Curry numbers out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, you are, right? Honestly. And I feel like I've been around the block for the last 5 years in the city, and I don't just limit myself to the city. I say this with very humbly, is that I have a podcast that's worldwide, world spread. Yeah. All the different plethora of guests and things like that. So when you see yourself doubling down on this community, eventually it's going to get bigger. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're doing it in the right stages, what I would say. Always pour back into the city. Sure. With me, I've always poured into the city, but now I'm doubling back into the city. Yeah. So when you like say the first half of what's been 5 years, was the majority of your podcast solo? Or like when did you start like bringing on guests, or like when did that change at any point, or has it been steady from the beginning? Guests started. That's a good question. Wow, you're making me go back in the database. I guess if that's it itself, like it's not like you can say, oh, I didn't have guests for the first 2 years. I would say guests started to come probably when I got into about the 80s. So
Episodes?
80
yeah,
episodes.
you're at like 300 plus, right?
335, my man.
Really? So you did 80 just like shooting the shit by yourself?
Yes,
Like, yeah.
And I had people sit in and things like that. Like, I went from talking about movies to sports to you name it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just about self-development, entrepreneurship.
So like, how many do you do? What's your average? Like, do you have obviously you probably do a target per week or per whatever?
Once a week. Every Monday.
Okay.
Yes.
I should probably know that then.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
So is it now, it's like, do you try and focus on having a guest every Monday, or is it just whatever happens?
It's whatever happens, right? And I feel like a lot of people appreciate the solo me because it's like I'm connecting with them a lot more.
Yeah.
Even though you have a guest and you're not really hearing a lot from me. So it's like, okay, cool. But when I get into the solo spaces, you already know what you're getting.
Do you find that when you have guests on, it's more of an interview?
Yeah.
Is it technically an interview?
Of course. And the thing is when I go into it, there has to be an agenda. Free flowing with a guest, if they're in the, let's just say they're a entrepreneur, big business, I can't speak. A big business builder that has $7,000 or like $7,000 or whatever they're trying to do, starting a program, things like that. It will be a different conversation because I have to keep it around that conversation.
Yeah.
You can't really be like, okay, so like, what are you doing this weekend? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's like, who does this guy think he is?
Things
like that. So
yeah. Because that's where I'm excited to go, but I don't ever want to like turn it into something that seems like, it sounds probably so silly to keep saying, but just very like Joe Rogan-esque. Like, you know, if he has a doctor on, obviously they get to like, or whatever, a set professional, obviously they get to it, and there's like, sometimes they just jump right into it, but like maybe some not, but some like half of that 3 hour long podcast will just be like shooting the shit about their normal lives. Like, I wouldn't say even if he has a scientist on, he's interviewing a scientist. He's, still having a conversation with scientists, and then maybe it's just his
well, he has an agenda he has to go over, right?
Yeah.
And things like that.
But do you think he has like a set thing of like...
All podcasters do.
Really?
Right? If you can free flow it willy-nilly, by all means.
Is that just like, does research qualify for that? So if you just do a research, like, it's not like you have 10 questions set out, but if I know like your background, what you did, it's like naturally those
it
will come out.
Conversation, right? So it's like coming here, I'm like, we could be talking about anything. Yeah. Maybe we're having a sports conversation. Yeah. Maybe we're talking about Joe Rogan. Yeah. Right? Yeah. There's so many different ways you can go, and I feel like the conversations I've had with you, it can go anywhere. You know what I mean?
That's kind of how I want it, and like, I think just to like not create too much expectations around it, but still be able to like provide, and it's probably how it'll evolve over the time, and just like, again, I hate to just keep going back to referencing Joe, but just how it evolved, and I feel like it is a lot like that in the sense of just doing it because you enjoy it, not because you need to hit a certain number or anything like that. Like, even for like the checking on how stuff did, like, I don't even look at that until I go and upload the next one and like get a visual of the podcast underneath it to see it. So I don't care at all. I could care less. It's like,
this is the thing about numbers game. You look at it to where you want to go to, right? Because you're looking at monetization, you're looking at building a brand, sponsorship, all these different things. So I feel like that's when you got to start really focusing on the numbers.
But does that come? Like, is it still like, but is it more organic for me to like take that as it comes if it does, versus like aim for that?
I would say it could be both, right?
Yeah.
Because there's certain metrics on YouTube you may want to follow, right? Because just with the certain search tags, hashtags, how you type in your descriptions and things like that, those little things can boost you in the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
So I would say is, don't let the algorithm control you, you control it, right? Because when you start going down the rabbit holes and numbers, that's where things can get kind of, you're like, oh, wait, I only got like maybe 400 views on this, but now I'm getting 200 on this.
Yeah.
And
it's like kind of, I don't know if it's an appropriate reflection, but like, I'm even I don't know if you saw the one with Tatum where it was like just me and her for 2 minutes. It's
I
like,
love that though.
I do too, but like only, it's like the least viewed one. And it's like, maybe that was just wrong time, wrong place. But
I'll
like,
say something it's new. when you're doing something new,
that's what I mean. You can't probably, it's not a true reflection.
The general public, you start looking at the general public and things will split in such a way.
Yeah.
Because some people are going to be like, okay, what's this he's doing? Some people are going to gravitate to it. Some people are not going to. It just happens.
Yeah.
Right. So you just have to keep just going through because you gain new audience, especially when you're going into the mecca of YouTube, my man.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're just only strictly on YouTube, right?
Well, so what I do is I have Spotify. So obviously just the audio goes on Spotify. The full video goes on YouTube, and then just for simplicity's sake, I just clip a little piece from each one and then put it on Instagram. So it's like, or Facebook or whatever. And that's just like me trying to do enough to like, not sell everything short, but I've never been one to like chase likes or anything like that. So like I don't care. I don't care if no one ever listens to this, but if I can have 3 people in a week that I enjoy talking to and they enjoy coming on and like it just keeps flowing that way, then like, and it's fun for me, then that in itself is a win.
You're very humble. You're a very humble soul. I get that. You know what I mean?
Is that humble, or is it
man.
like, cause like,
it's humble because you're not necessarily doing it for the numbers. And the thing is, content creators and influencers look and they want to do it about the numbers. If they don't get, 1,000 likes on a photo, they're deleting that photo.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Now you gotta, like I said again, you gotta look at certain metrics, like Instagram reels. You gotta look at those metrics. So many people are like, oh, I've only got like 2 views on my Instagram reel. Well, okay, post more.
Yeah.
Right. Consistency.
Yeah. And I feel like that's,
stamina, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I feel like that's where if you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, I'm hoping, I mean, I don't want to say I won't care about it. I if it's fun and I want it to be evolve and get bigger, then I think at some point I will like pay attention to certain stuff, but never base it around that numbers because ultimately
they come. They come. You know what I mean?
So having said that, when did you like, when you first started, were you paying attention to all the numbers and like doing it, or was it?
It's so funny because being 5 years into this, the first 2, I wasn't looking at like numbers and metrics and listens.
First 2 years.
You know what I was really paying attention to is the reviews.
Yeah.
So on Apple, the stars. You start seeing those stars, you start seeing those comments.
Yeah.
That's where it's rewarding because you know who you're touching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know people listen to that and they'll be like, well, he's not worried about the likes and the views. It's how people are starring your podcast. Spotify's got that rating system now. So you can like, rate it 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever. Give 1 star if you want to. That's on you. But when you start seeing those stars and you start seeing people comment about the reviews of how your podcast makes them feel and how you're connecting with them, that's the rewarding feeling that you want.
Okay. Do you feel like maybe you don't get a lot of negative stuff? I feel like with any positive comes negative. Do you see that stuff too? Or is there, because I don't know, like,
you know what? Oh boy, I won't go there, but when you're in this space of media, because now you're a media member, right? Now you could be far left, you could be mainstream, whatever. Once you get in the media, somebody will always find something that you say and it will offend. It's just how it goes in the nature. Going to be very hard to find something bad here to see or say or whatever.
Yeah, but no, without a doubt, there's going to be people.
There's going to be that.
People that just don't like me talking,
you
right?
Know what
it's
I mean?
like,
and now it could be, oh, well, your sound didn't sound that good, and it's like, well, maybe turn up your phone,
your
audio device.
Yeah.
You're listening, but people pick at certain stuff to try to hit jabs, try to hit pressure points. I've had that happen, and I've let it bother me. Now I welcome it.
Really? Yeah.
Because I work off adversity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you work off of adversity, that's when your best content comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said it on a recent show where I was like, I take adversity and I eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Right? And I just keep going. Now, there's going to be certain things that you see, certain things that people say. People are always going to try to come at you. It's just how it is. It's jealousy, right? Yeah. I always say it's either jealousy or it's envy.
Yeah. And I pick it, both of those are on that person, right? Like it's
That's
never, I mean, at the end of the day, that is on that person.
On you, man. You just got to get around it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I said is it goes back to the community. And once you start moving in the right direction, you're being positive with your message, it's hard to really find a negative.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about some positive shit, like keep it positive.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Why are you trying to turn a positive into a negative? Why? Because you're upset with your life.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
You're mad
right.
at yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you got a home life you got to deal with. You got bad business partners you're dealing with. That's on you. You got to figure it out. You know what I mean? Self-reflection.
Do you find it's do you have any hesitations, or not hesitations, but not sitting down? Do you sit down with people in front of them often?
I would say I do that all the time, but not with a mic in the face.
No. Because I was the other way. Like when I first, maybe a little bit into this, I was like, am I going to run out of people? And it's like, you probably won't. But if there's someone on the other side of the country that like, I want to be on, I feel like I will lose that opportunity sometimes when I have a podcast that's generally sitting across from that person. And then kind of why I asked is because yours is the complete opposite.
Call them in, you got the screen.
And that's the thing too. I definitely will, but I don't want to like I'd still want to have, for every 50 of these, I want to have one of those.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But I don't. So do you find that you get limited? Like, do you think your podcast would take a different direction if you had more, like you said, you wanted to start doing a little bit of like panel stuff, or like
not necessarily, because I have my following for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I think when you now go over to the crossover in the YouTube realm, where people can actually see the real full life interview, you get a different response, because now people see the mannerisms, people see like the facial features, things like that.
So when you say that, when they can see it, is that are both sitting across from each other and then sitting across from a screen the same thing? Like, people are still seeing both those, but is there a difference between
it's
that?
It's different in a way, because you have to, you're either looking down or you're looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
For me, I have my screen position where it's right here, so I'm looking like down there as the person's talking, and then when I'm talking, and I'm like talking,
Yeah.
trying to hear to go that way.
Yeah.
It's so tough, because from a media perspective, if you're doing anything that's like remote, you have to look straight. And you see a lot of people that I've interviewed, like I've been on TV, been on MTV, oh my goodness, all over the place.
For what? Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all that good stuff, because that's what they've been. They've like have close ties to celebrities and things like that. So you see how those mannerisms change. You see, if you watch news, they're always looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? So it's, like I said, you got to take it how it goes.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah.
Who's your, it's probably a loaded question to ask, but who is your favorite, what's your favorite, most memorable podcast that stand out to you? Is there one?
I should have came here with a script, man. You hit me with the right question.
I don't know, but this is all like random.
This is how is how you build.
It's curiosity. That's all it is.
Your interview skills, right? To pull that, and you're like, damn, I didn't expect to have that question.
It's just pure curiosity, right? Like me and you have a lot in common in the sense of like the podcast. The next person is like, I don't know when the next person that I'm gonna have is going to have a established podcast. Yeah. So this to me is like, again, I was about to sit down and be like, okay, I'm your guest today, type of thing. But
no, it's all good. Favorite podcast?
It doesn't one that stands out.
Yeah,
most.
The one that comes out to me is Mario Armstrong. He's a 2-time Emmy Award winner.
Okay,
right? And I got him on to come on the show, and we lost the first episode.
Really?
Because the quality of the audio was not there.
Okay, time out. How'd you get him? How'd you get him on? What was the process there?
Yeah, I love that. So that app called Clubhouse, right?
Okay.
And so back in 2020, when I got enrolled on the app, I decided to make some key connections. And that's what I used to leverage to build into some of the guests that I've gotten, right? So I reached out to him in the actual DM, sent him a voice note, right?
Yeah.
Not text, voice note.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I went voice
I appreciate those. Right? Yeah, for sure.
Because it's better connection, and it makes you stand out, right? So anybody that's listening to this, honestly, you want to do business, voice note.
Totally.
People are going to look at it a little bit weird, but you have to be able to just know how to trigger that point. And when you trigger that, boom. And I reached out to him. He's like, yeah, set it up. Send me an email. Boom. I was like, okay, cool. Blue notification check mark. He's worked alongside Damon John. I'm like, okay, this is going to be crazy, right? Got him to come on. We sat there. We did the interview. His audio
was just garbage.
It was a buzz. And I heard it in my headphones. I'm like, yo, is this me or is it whatever? When the interview was done, I went back to go see it right away.
You heard it the whole time?
This buzzing sound, like you're surrounded by bees. Me and my one friend spent about 4 hours trying to mix and master this thing. Couldn't do it, Ian. Couldn't do it. I text him back. I was like, yo,
We got to do it again.
what's up? And he's like, I got you.
Let's time out, running.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. And he came back and it's just amazing of what he said.
Yeah.
When you in this space have people that may have a little bit higher status, you got to value those connections.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in the city, value those connections. Value the connections that are going to be elevating.
Sure.
Going to be rewarding. And that's somebody that's always in my DM, either liking some of my content, sends me a message, hey, listen, I see you growing, I see you building. Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel good because these are guys that are like up there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look at those guys to be like more like mentors.
For sure.
Like I hear you talk a lot about Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So you say like Joe Rogan's your mentor?
Mentor, maybe. I mean, maybe, yeah. Like, I think he is a lot of people's, you know, in this. But yeah, I guess like.
So what's your take on everything that's going on right now with him?
I mean, I feel like he's pretty. He's established himself to be himself. So if you are a fan of that, then I don't think like. What do I think of that? I think it'll be dust in the wind soon.
Yeah. So you're not like the cancel culture.
I think he's pretty immune to it because like I feel like a vast majority of his listeners or viewers would be on that mind frame as well. It's kind of like you just be true to yourself and like what are you gonna say? Like if you don't value him as something like a podcaster or influencer or media or anything like that, or a mentor, then just turn somewhere
a lot
else.
of his stuff, like people said you dropped the N-bomb, and I'm like, that was all edited clips.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe Rogan's a racist. And I'm like, no, he's not. I don't listen to Joe Rogan because I'm a UFC guy. So I don't want to get burnt out by Joe Rogan a little bit. You know what I mean? And like some of his interviews I gravitate to. Like when he has Jordan Peterson on there.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm there.
Right?
You know what I mean? He's coming to the city, right? So all that good stuff. So it's like, when you get those conversations with Joe Rogan, I'm more in tune, right? But like when he has, like you mentioned, the scientists and some of the doctors, I'm like, okay, I want something I want to gravitate to.
Yeah,
'cause I'm about always developing.
Yeah,
right? And
but you go to him and you can value that conversation with whoever he has on that you're interested in because he's who he is, right? Like I feel, and it's like that's another thing is like I appreciate that he's just willing to have a conversation with and get drunk with his boys around him, and they say shit that without a doubt can be clipped, will be clipped, could come back to bite him. But if you start doing stuff worrying about that, then like you might as well just stop. I feel
I got an interesting take on that. When you make that much money, you get comfortable with your content in such a way, and I feel like the hunger's not there. Like you know how we watch UFC, and you can be the champ for so long, so you're not maybe training all the way. So that next contender, which you could look at to be the audience, could always be looking at and saying, when is the time that we can get rid of this guy?
So how do you think that would apply to him?
I feel like with him...
You think he's gotten comfortable?
I think he's gotten a little comfortable.
In what sense?
Think about this. If you got $100 million in the bank, you're still going to be that passionate to be sitting in front of a mic and talking podcasting?
You think he's lost interest in his podcast game?
I think he's interested with it, but I just think that where he kind of got the canceling situation to him is that it's through comfort. You got to tighten it up in such a way.
And but then you lose. But like if he started... I feel like if he started doing that, he wouldn't like the reason why so many people gravitate to him because he was just that person from the beginning. Like I don't feel like I don't think he would have ever been looking at how many views, looking at this. Like it's just get people on you like talking to and talk to them. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe
I think you got a little bit comfortable. You see it happen, right? I guess when you make that much money, it's like Conor McGregor. You make that much money, is your heart really into it?
I don't know. Yeah,
your heart's not in it. Right?
Yeah, but so do you think that's a reflection on you think his conversations lose like that spark? Or like, I'm not a
Wouldn't say
spark,
this
but like,
spark, but I feel like when you're UFC 1 minute, you got your podcast. Really, that's really the only time as I see him, and you have his Instagram, Twitter, and things like that.
yeah.
He's there, but now it's like, what did you do to lose focus? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we're talking about a guy that's always been in TV, NBC, Fear Factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you're on UFC, you got the podcast, it's a great podcast, but what did you do to have people want to now bite back? And it's like, you should be kind of a little bit mindful, That's only my thing. But
Yeah.
I'm not attacking Joe Rogan.
No,
like,
no,
when
no, I
people's
don't get that at
what
all,
do you feel
yeah.
about Joe Rogan? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what did he say?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, there was some words and he got clipped and then he came on and he said what you need to say. And I'm like, Joe Rogan's not a racist.
Yeah. No,
Because if Joe
I don't
Rogan's
think
a
so
racist,
either.
He's not going to sit beside DC. He's
No.
not going to be sitting beside all these.
God, no.
Like, get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
Stop. You know what I mean? But it's that fake outrage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just naturally defend. It's like, I feel like there's always going to be those people.
Yeah.
Like, even if he was like sharper than ever, as far as like, even whatever that pertains to being sharp or like having an extra spark, it's like, those people are still always going to like, even then maybe those people double down and like, I don't know, maybe not. But I feel like I relate to him on probably not at all, but just how down to earth I perceive him as is like, that's why I've been so interested in him. And like, I feel like it's just been so natural that if I could ever just have a fraction of that where like people feel like they could come in, act themselves and have no expectations, then
How do you feel about
that's
controversy then when it comes down to like maybe not even podcasting, but
I
overall?
honestly, I don't pay much attention at all. Like, I'm a very non-confrontational person. Like, I don't, and it kind of goes back to like talking into your phone. Like, I keep most of my opinions to myself. Like, other than, I keep them to myself versus like putting them on for people to push them on people, right? Like, if you ask me something, I'll give you my opinion, and that's like just part of the general conversation. But I don't know if I just like to, if it's pertaining to me, which it doesn't. I mean, controversy is like maybe you're in an argument with someone, and that's the extent of my world's controversy. I'm just like, I'll do my best and be a reasonable person and hear you out and see both sides. And, at the end of the day, if something's still wrong after that and I've done what I can do, then, I mean, that's usually on the other person. And then as far as like worldwide, I don't see myself, it would be out of character for me to have a solo episode where I'm like, okay, the top 3 news articles are this, and these are my opinions on them. Because I don't want anyone to I have a super hard time pushing my opinions on anyone, let alone, just putting them out there. So if this is a way to like just have conversations where if people want to listen, cool. If not, then cool.
I like that.
But I don't know, controversy, I don't know yet. Maybe something down the line.
I feel like we're in the butt of it. Not saying me and you per se, but it's like, look at society, look at the world. You know? The truck convoy was a trending topic.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like we are in Black History Month. So when I hear some people saying that it's formulated to white supremacy, I'm like, what are you guys looking at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when it comes to like the news now, I stay away from it. But then you're on social media and you see people posting things and writing long transcripts of their feelings. And I'm like,
9 times out of 10, I don't read that.
You see
Like,
what I'm
I
saying?
don't care
you see
either.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, are you a content creator? Are you a news anchor?
Or are you just frustrated with your life and feel like voicing, like, that's kind of like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So there's just a lot there that I'm just like, guys, like, smarten up. I get it. We have a platform. But use your platform to be teachable. Yeah. Be relatable.
Even towards that, like, I had a buddy of mine on, an old client of mine on, he was in Ottawa, and like, I had him on to kind of get his, voice on it. And even then I was like, man, I'm really opening it up to like, a lot of people are going to disagree with him. And then in turn with me, just because like I'm facilitating this and, and I was like, it's so early in this that if I start caring and not have a genuine friend on because I'm worried about the perception of that, then I'm not doing any of this anymore. So I was like, you know what? Have him on. But I disagree with a lot of what he said. I see where he's coming from. I agree with some of what he said, but I want to be able to have a conversation where people like see that I'm not getting insulted by what he's saying, or like I'm able to like step back and hear him out versus, argue.
A contrarian, you got to be able to weigh both sides.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's where maybe it's because I don't like to dive into too much controversy as far as, again, getting my own opinions into it. But I feel like I'm pretty good at like being in the middle, and, like even if you tell me something I'd completely disagree with, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Like, cool. Yeah. But I'm not gonna be like, no, that's wrong. This is mine. Like this is that. Like that's just not me as a person.
Anything,
so
is that with anything?
I don't know. So far, I mean, if it's a personal thing, then I'll like, agree to disagree, but I'm not here to like get into like, I'd rather, pick his brain on like, why you think the world's ending? Like the world may be ending for all we fucking know, but
is
like,
it really though?
No, I don't know. Right. Like,
I mean?
like
Yeah,
it's like, I want to know what makes him think that and like get that out versus like, you're here to talk, not be, an argument.
And I'll be honest, like even being in the podcasting space and in this type of conversation, it's starting to happen a little bit like this year. Like you have your agenda that you're going through, but then some of the conversations taper off. And it's like, it's good because this for me is different in such a way because I did not know what I'm coming into.
Yeah.
But I like these type of conversations because it's like, you always got to be quick on your feet, right? What's he coming with next? What's he coming with next?
Do you, or you just got to be like, is it that, or is it just be like, let your guard down and be yourself? Yeah, like, don't think you have to like have these crazy answers or anything like that. And I have to remind myself that because I'm in the exact same mindset you are when you come on thinking that, right? It's like, I know how natural it becomes and how quickly people's guard gets let down once they're in this environment and like, talking it out or like realizing that it is. But I'm sure that I can only imagine that, when I tell you, or like even not someone as experienced as you, if who was on last, like anyone, any of the friends downstairs, like, hey, you want to just come on, shoot the shit on the podcast? They're probably like, what are we gonna talk about? What's this, that, and the other? Like, is this an interview? Is this that? And I'm like, dude, just relax. Like, no, the thing we just talked about 10 minutes ago for 10 minutes, let's just have like, don't force anything. So I'm sure people are like,
so you know what I'm getting from that? That's a content creator right there. Once you get into this space, I'll tell anybody this, once you get into this space, you're always like, maybe I should have got that conversation recording. Yeah. And it just happens that natural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what, even before this, it's like, we're like, so, what's the camera? What's this? What's that? And it's like, pause, let's get on here. And then like, cause these are just things that like naturally get talked about and okay, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Let's go.
What's your like workflow with your podcast? Like as certain as
they go a little bit deeper than that.
Like my workflow is we'll be done here. We'll turn it off. We'll maybe shoot the shit for a little bit. I'll pull the audio. I'll pull the video. I literally just sync them up on Premiere Pro, and like I change a little audio and then I upload it.
Yeah.
Like, do you do a lot of editing?
I do a lot of editing, right? So from a productivity standpoint, as somebody that has the life coach background, right, is I can't necessarily keep continuing to do that once I start launching certain things that are coming.
Sure.
So I look at those to be like minimum wage activities, especially when you're growing in this podcasting space. So right now I'm doing it. So yes, you export the audio, you mix, you master it, you take a snippet from the clip of the video, put it all together. But when you start going certain ways with the podcast and then business starts elevating, one's got to go. So I want the business to keep going. So all that editing, I got to pass that to somebody else, right? And let them now, worry about that.
So do you think because with mine, it's like literally we'll have an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of audio, 3 hours of video. I don't cut it. I don't do anything with it. I sync it up and I export it. Is that just my way of like? I don't even
starting. It's because you're starting out, right? So starting out, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like once you go a year in, 2 years, you may take that long clip and start chopping it up
into like
4 or 5 different pieces because you always want to make sure you have a timestamp, right? So people can follow along. Because not a lot of people are going to want to sit there for 3 hours and necessarily watch content.
Yeah.
You see like guys like Joe Rogan or some of the podcasts that I watch and stuff like that. They have it kind of sectioned out.
So that would be more like, upload the full 2 hours long thing to YouTube and then just be more diligent about your clips in between.
Yeah, your clips in between.
Yeah.
Make sure you get that thumbnail going.
Yeah, no kidding,
thing,
right?
big
Like
thing,
it's everything, and that's for me. It's just one thing at a time. Like
You'll get there, man.
and that's like even this is like I was gonna ask you is I need someone. I need someone to create a visual for a background for this, so it's not just a black screen. So it has HQCo. Maybe it has some of your stuff up there. It's more like even on the
Product placement.
Yeah, and it's,
so what I would say is you could do that through a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Right? I know some in the city here.
Yeah.
A little pricey, but you can do it that way, or you can go third party, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like I use Fiverr sometimes. and
some
stuff like
graphic designers.
No, you got to be like,
why are you using Fiverr?
Yeah.
Why are you using Canva?
If it costs 50 cents, then like,
right? And that's the thing. Like you're starting out, you don't want to go put out X amount of money into everything, and then wait. Well, life happens, right? You don't want to do this anymore.
But just
Maybe
stuff
you
like
open
that.
up another
like,
gym, you never know.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. That's why I was like, I don't want to be overwhelmed though at the beginning of like stressing myself out that me and you are talking here and this is not utilized. It's like when the time will come.
Dude,
like
this is a great setup. Like I'm thrilled.
But it's lucky, right? Like I set it up, but this was here. Like that's where I get when people say that, but it's like. I don't know. I mean, everything happens. It's
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who would you love to interview if there's one particular person?
Well, aside from Joe Rogan or something like that, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like someone who, I don't know. I don't have a name yet that I could give out to like. My answer for that is in somewhat of a reachable
everybody's reachable.
time.
Everybody's reachable.
I would like to be, it'd be cool to eventually be in the city, or I'll say Canada, but in London. It'd be cool to have something happen within the city, positive or negative, and be able to pull a person in to have their take on it. Like if, I don't know, like if team won some, like I'll use sports, if if an Olympic athlete from London went and won gold or something like that, it'd be cool to have enough credibility to like, hey, when you're back in town, settled with life again, come on and tell me how that was.
So this is what I'll tell you. I don't really feel like it comes down to credibility.
Or I don't. So what's it come down to?
From my perspective, one of my first big guests that I got, David Meltzer.
Okay.
I didn't think that with what I cover on the podcast, I'd be able to get him. But what I did is you have to make sure you have the right pitch formulated. And when I threw the pitch out there, now it took longer to get him on because it was like about a month out before I could get him.
Yeah.
But I always say is, especially when we're in this digital age of social media, a lot of people are accessible, right? I'm going to get a book.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a book and I'm going to pass it off
Sure,
to you. Right?
please,
It's called Social Digital Currency.
Cool. I have books. Yeah,
right?
that's
so,
perfect.
and it tells you about how you can spend your social digital currency. And it's actually by a guest by the name of Dwight Scrap Reynolds.
Okay.
He came on the podcast, talked a lot about that. You'd be surprised of what you can do just by just throwing a couple likes out on some of these posts.
Yeah.
Like a Joe Rogan. He's got a team. He's got to have a PR team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't get him, but at least get that conversation going.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I'm Ian Guppel, Showtime Fitness. I got this podcast.
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
You never
Totally.
know, right?
Yeah.
Because it's either going to be a yes or it's a no.
Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah. And what facilitates that is having I guess then for them to like, if they're doing, are we going to go on this show? It's like to establish a podcast that's a fair median for everyone, like someone with a controversial opinion or not, just to be like, fuck, I got to get on there to talk to him, to tell people how I'm feeling. Like that would be cool. Like to have that, like, again, yeah, credibility is not necessarily the word, but like,
Because it will come,
reputation
right? It will come,
of being like solid and not,
And that's the thing. Like you talk about Olympians. There's a lot of people that are sports figures to Olympians from the city.
Yeah.
So it's just reaching out and you make those connections, right?
Yeah.
A couple people that, play certain places, retired, things like that. So it's like, hey, if there's something that can be done, that's what you do. You spend and you spread that social digital currency.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, like, listen, Ian's a good guy.
I haven't had a single person not be in or have an enthusiastic attitude towards coming on.
Yeah.
And like, again, those people have been like more of the supportive by default type of people. But I had one person so far. Maybe you got this already. Maybe you're that person. Maybe not. No, you're not that person because you're here. So I know you're not that person. But I had a guy be like, yeah, do you get 1,000 views a week? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, okay, no, I can't come on. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. But like, like, do you get that ever? Like,
so this may come back to haunt me, but I'll say it anyways. You have some people that wanted this. It has to be about numbers for them.
yeah,
I sent out a pitch to a self-development coach, and Ian, no word of a lie, it was a great pitch. It's the same template that I actually used from one of the higher ups.
Yeah,
because you got mentors, you got people in the space that are wanting to help you.
sure.
Sent it out to her. She responded back. She goes, no, I'm not going to come on your show. If you want to read more, keep reading. And then I was like, what? And I stopped. And then I read, and she goes, you need to stop making things looking like this is a self-pitch and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I laughed and I chuckled. And I'm like, this is the same pitch I use for
I'd be like,
a whole bunch of people that have a little bit more power than you do.
yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's cool. It's all right. It's all right. It's fine. And she follows the same people. So it's like, people want their ego massaged. If it's about the numbers, if he's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube and I go on his show, I'm going to probably get X amount of this. It's happened. I've seen it happen.
I get that too. Like, I get for me to approach someone that whatever, like,
it should never be about the numbers. Just do it. Like, I get asked to come on different shows. And the reason why I kind of pull back is because I know it's going to be the same. Do the intro, do the this. And it's like, and I always love about sharing the show. I'm going to share the show. I'm going to obviously ask you right now. You can cut this out if you need to.
No, never. I don't cut anything out.
But I would love to take a copy of this because I want to repost
100%.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is what collaboration really looks like. You have a lot of times where you get somebody to come on their show. They get it. They come on. They do their thing. And then they don't want to share it. And it's like, well, why'd you come on here?
Yeah.
To massage your own ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even then, like, for instance, like that person that sent that back, my interest would be like, okay, good. Like, maybe you're not the person I thought I wanted to have on either, though. Like,
then
it's like,
when you look at their content more and you're like, yeah, it's about them. It's all about them.
Yeah.
And it's never should be about you. It should be about the connection and the value that you're bringing to both audiences.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And
Totally.
things like that. And again, you got to nestle and you got to nurture those relationships because those relationships can get you certain places, certain doors. There's certain doors that you probably want to go. Yeah. Right. You said, as much as you say, I'm not, there's certain doors you want to go into. So it's like, how do I value relationships to keep to making the connection? So when I get to that door, I can open it with that key. Now, if I want to get to that other door, I need maybe this person to help me elevate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing. Again, collaboration is so necessary.
Do you have someone that's your grail to have on?
Man, there's a lot of people. Yeah. Oh, brother.
Okay, then is there one certain industry or like,
you know what I want to sit down with, and I'm going to manifest this because I said he's coming to London. Jordan Peterson's coming to London.
Yeah.
Not too much Jordan Peterson, but his daughter.
Yeah.
Because his daughter has a lot of great talking points. Right?
Sure.
And I want to get into just a space with her just to have that conversation. You know what I mean?
So what's going to happen? When's he coming?
May or June.
So you're going to be sitting at this table with her, and me and him are going to be sitting at the bar over there having a drink while you interview his daughter.
Well, if you want to put that out there, we can.
You know what I mean? Like you're 100%. Side note, if you ever want to use this space it's nice too because it's endless possibilities. You could set something up in here or over there that it doesn't reflect. I don't think by default people are going to be like, oh, that's Ian's, that's HQCo's
headquarters.
Or their setup or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. You never know.
Dude, you never know. You put it out there, man. I say this, like, there's so many, like Matthew McConaughey is another name.
Yeah.
I've seen some of his interviews.
Yeah.
The man can storytell. You just got to ask questions. Sometimes you sit back and you're just like in awe.
Yeah.
Because those guys have been through something. So I always want to humanize certain people.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that. Like Denzel Washington would be a good conversation. I said I always want to interview Drake, right?
Yeah.
The Drake one would be special. You know what I mean? Just because I just know that there's so much more there. I don't want to talk about the music industry. I want to talk about him as a person.
Yeah.
What would life look like if you never were wheelchair Jimmy to now Drake the superstar? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that. So,
well, sooner or later,
you
I'm sure, right?
Happen,
it's just
right?
like, that's the thing too. Certain stuff you can't predict, and then everything, certain things just fall into place. And, so you every Monday you record every Monday and then upload every Monday?
So I record all over the place. So I have my 9-to-5 job, things like that, right? We are in the city, so people, I don't have to announce where it is I work. Everybody will know, you know what I mean, and things like that. But I try to keep that out of podcast conversation because it's like it's not necessary and whatever. But I do my recordings all over the time, right? And it's like even when I think about getting in the recording space, I always like to record midday.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always a midday because that's when I have the most energy.
Really? Because
different here because I'm not in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Right? I'm more like the passenger.
Sure.
You're in the driver's seat. You're interviewing me, right? And we're just having that back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then what I do is I just keep it in the database, external hard drives, USB drives, all that good stuff.
So do you have, how many Mondays ahead of time do you have?
Oh,
are you just week? Or do you good for another 2 months?
Prior to this right now, I'm well into March.
Oh, wow.
So
cool.
I bulk a lot of recording. So anybody that's listening to this wants to get in this space, I'm going to say a couple things. I have something I'm actually going to help with certain people that want to get into podcasting.
Cool.
Right? Sort of like a mentor, coach, whatever you want to call it, because it's necessary and it's needed. And I feel like there's a lot of people have a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
You think about health and fitness. So many people are like, I want to be a trainer. Okay, or I have a gym owner, but bring that podcast into it if you can make it happen.
Yeah,
because it adds credibility to your brand.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
And that's like the one thing that's missing. It's like I don't want this to be a Showtime advertisement podcast or any of the other businesses that I have or anything.
Run it into your ads though.
I will, and that's like one thing for sure is like that's next. I'm like I joked about it. I'm like I've had brother-in-law has a pizza place that he mentioned, like let's sponsor. I'm like, fuck, I have 3 businesses, the supplement store, CBD brand, the gym that I could just I have enough.
That's product placement. That's you're running your own ads.
I know. I was like, I have enough to just do this on my own.
Man. Honestly.
Yeah.
You can set up the recording here. It's not hard.
Do you think I'm going to burn out? Like, do you think me just, hey, I'd say 3 people, I'd say 2's perfect, but I found that like Wednesday, Thursday, or I can have people on, if I can have 2 people on a week, if I could have 3 people on, just keep rolling with it. What
I would say is hone into it. Pick your day, right? If you're doing 2 a day, do 2 a day.
Yeah.
Don't make it flip flop. I see a lot of, this is what I see in a lot of podcasting, and I don't want people to take this as a diss, but set the intention. Yeah. If you're gonna release a podcast and you go 6 months and life happens, I get it. But let people know, hey, look, listen, I'm taking a break.
Yeah, totally.
Don't just come into the podcasting space and then record for 6 to 8 months and then disappear and then think you're gonna come back.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose people, right? It's like with anything, right? So it's like just set the intention of what it is you want to do. If you say you're going to release Wednesday. There's no target market of when you release your podcast.
So it'd be better, like, even if I had 3 people on a week, or like, I'll get to the point where, like, even after, like, even 3 a week, if I go to this week's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I go 3, like, not bank them, but like do a Wednesday upload, a Friday upload, and then that Friday person just gets to the Wednesday, and then you start,
And you can do it YouTube, right? That's its own database, so you can upload it and private it, so nobody sees it.
I do.
Just do what you need to do, right?
Yeah,
that's what a lot of YouTubers do too, right? So,
so that's not a big thing. Like, maybe it's something that's only on I'll say the production end is my end of, like, I guess being a guest, you don't. It's like, whenever you're told it's going to come out, that's just what you roll with.
It's 2 of the episodes I'm sitting on right now. I was about to message one of the ladies
and be like, chill, it's coming.
And be like, yo, it's coming on the 7th. But like, I was like, no, I'm not going to, because she's not going to remember.
Yeah.
But what I love is with the Instagram now is you do the tag to collaborator and then all that good stuff. So, and I always pre-warn people. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to share it out to people and all that good stuff. Right? But you just always have to have those conversations, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so that's good because I'm just gonna, and like even with mine, it's like I want to start being able to do different stuff, like, you know, if UFC's on, or like have a variety of like setups, like even like you were saying over there with the couches, 4 people. That's like so impromptu that those guys were all there at the right time, and you know, and then we set it up.
Card though.
March 5th. I know. Fuck. I actually have this. I have a guy, one of the members offered or asked to have like he does like a whiskey night type of thing up here, or not up here. He does it, and he actually found out through the podcast. He's like, hey, let me check that space. So do you mind if I have it? So he's actually having his night here on the 5th. But
really,
but normally, man, like I'm sure have seen it or not, but we do UFC nights here pretty good.
I know,
like,
you told me that one time.
We have it. We have it up here, and then there's like a big projector there that there's 2 couches. Like we have 2 different screens. The couches will be facing this way, projector here, and then another kind of unit over here.
So the party's here.
It's like kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
well, you never know. Maybe that's, you know, you build your page enough, then you can do like, you know, live sit-in, you know, reviews and things like that.
Yeah, right. And just like whatever. That's what I want to do is just like be able to do everything and not have like a niche. I've had that conversation with.
So since we're talking about like niche and content creation and all this stuff, how do you feel their promo? Because I feel like they haven't promoted the last UFC the right way. Like their promos game is looking a little kind of.
Yeah, I guess like because I don't pay attention to it too much because it's like. For UFC in particular, I'm not like I really like UFC, but I was never a fighter fan, like a fighting fan or anything like that. I like UFCs. I like everything about them, but like for instance, like on the last one, you know, it was like, okay, see everyone on March 5th. Like we kind of like at the end of the previous one, we look when the next one is, and that's it. So I don't know. I don't know if I could answer that well enough.
I feel like
to like
this their promo game, like, and this is what I see a lot with people of influence. They're now doing their own thing. So many like Israel Asada, he has his own YouTube, and he's promoting the fight on his YouTube, right? Like I watched the UFC Embeddeds, and I'm like, it felt kind of dull.
Really? Because I have seen those in the past, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah, it was.
Do you think fighters
dull.
are like pulling back on that?
I wouldn't. They're still doing it, but I just feel like they didn't really market it the way they needed to.
Really?
Maybe because like, oh yeah, it's a rematch fight. We already know what's gonna happen. Whitaker. Izzy's probably gonna beat him in 5 rounds. All this other stuff.
Yeah, but if fighters are naturally wanting to like, or low key wanting to put the good shit on their channel or whatever, like they might be pulling back but not pulling back, just redirecting their focus into themselves.
You don't necessarily, if you already have an established name, you don't necessarily need, like, you can use the UFC, but like I was watching something today with Darren Till and what's his name, Chimaev.
Yeah,
they're sparring with each other and things like that, and I'm like, this is interesting what they're doing.
Yeah, so
they're using both of their names. Put it on YouTube, show, you know, the sparring, if it's going to be part 1, part 2, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a different look because you don't have what's the way I'm looking for to say? You don't have the media press.
The UFC watermark in the corner.
Everything around and dressing it up for how they want to see it, right?
Yeah.
So you get the nitty gritty and things like that. Like Darren Till was asking Chimaev, he's like, yo, you ever got injured? Are you injured right now? Are you ready to go? And Chimaev was like, yo, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go right now.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And you see a more human side to these guys. It's not just like hitting back. Like, yes, they're hitting pads and stuff like that, but it's not
different. It's not just a promo tape.
It's different. Yeah.
So what other sports do you like? Are you a big sports fan?
Man. Yeah, of course.
Did you play growing up and everything?
Played basketball.
Everybody
says football, but I'm like, no.
No, you didn't play football or anything like that?
Man, couldn't do it.
Did you any like mixed martial arts or anything like that?
So I grew up Taekwondo.
Oh, cool.
Transferred to karate, then I stopped after I fractured my knee, which was many, many moons ago. But, then I picked up basketball.
Nice. Anything else? Like this is like one thing that I like to ask people that, you know, have reputations or like outgoing. Like, do you have any other like odd or obscure hobbies or business ventures or anything like that?
You know,
like,
it's so funny because when COVID happened, I thought about getting into the streaming game for video games, right? Yeah. And I play video games just as like more like it's like a release now.
Yeah.
Right? Like end of the night, You know what I mean? I know what the people are gonna say, well, it's screen time, but it's a different type of screen
What do you
time.
play?
Apex Legends.
What's that on?
PS4.
Yeah.
PS4 computer, things like that.
Yeah.
Not too much of the Call of Duty guy.
No.
But Apex is always, it's treated me well. It's a, third person shooter, first person shooter.
Yeah.
3-on-3, got the ring. It's like Fortnite. Can't get Fortnite because Fortnite's different.
Did
I
you
don't know what the whole building thing is. What is
I've always like been, I love it, but I love gaming, but I don't game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's like I always was like, oh, I'll put something up here to like mess around with, but I don't know. I don't know
even
if Jade would
I'm
like
telling
that.
you, I probably game now if 7 days in a week, maybe 10 hours, if that.
Yeah. So
If
what did you ever get your feet wet in that streaming or no?
I wanted to, and then I was doing some things just like as we were in lockdown, we're not working. It's just like whatever, and I was like, I'm like, I could do it because a lot of people was like, you got the personality for it, you got the connection, like. And just like late at night, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you got the guys on the line, right?
You think that's like the epitome though of like the opposite of like interview style. Like that's where I feel you'd really be susceptible to saying some shit that'll come back to bite you.
Well, that's the thing, right? And it's so funny because I had an interview.
Not you per se, but gamers are like.
I talked to a guy that's a big streamer. He actually did a voiceover for Call of Duty Vanguard.
Yeah.
And I think it was Rainbow Six Siege. We don't have the interview though, because it just, anyways, that's technology.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna reach back out to his team and stuff like that. But he told me, he's like, when you're connecting and you see your fans in there, your fans are actually like egging you on.
Yeah.
And it's like guys, like clean it up. You know what I mean? Like leave me alone type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's just how life happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I always feel like some of those streamers and like they're making a killing right now.
Yeah.
They're making a killing. But like I was looking at what's his name, Aiden Ross, and some of the stuff, and I like that these guys are making their money, but they're giving it back to people.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll do certain things. It's like, oh, if Team LeBron wins for the NBA All-Star game last weekend, I'll give
10 viewers get $1,000 or something.
I'll give 10K to a lucky winner. And I love that they're doing that. But those guys are really, really like, it's toxic community.
Yeah,
like,
for sure, right?
You see the jabs. You see like, you're like, what?
Yeah, because it's just a free form to
Yeah.
say whatever the fuck you want.
It's nuts, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I was gonna ask something too, but I forgot. Oh, how many do you lose podcasts often?
It's cool, crazy you're saying this. I lost some equipment in the flood back in October.
Really?
Yeah, that was devastating.
But like errors on recording, like how many times
that
you're
happens.
Like, fuck, that wasn't
That
recording
happens.
the whole time.
That
like,
happens.
A lot?
It happens.
Or
Be
like not a
prepared.
lot, but like 100, 350. How many's happened? A handful?
8 to 10.
Okay.
It will
Fuck,
happen.
so it's down.
It will happen. It will happen. It's just technology.
Yeah.
You never know. This camera's right here looking at us. God forbid. What happens if it's not recording?
Yeah. No, and that's like I'm trying to do like even the wide to the plug and play aspect of how I wanted to make it the first. It's like I got to look at that red thing and that red thing, you know, and like if that's I'm always stressed.
Gotta make sure the
It's
mics
like,
are plugged in too.
Yeah.
I've had episodes like that. You're like, oh damn, it wasn't plugged in.
Well, me and like, do you know Paul Textera? He was on here once. You probably
Actually, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah,
Brittany, his girlfriend. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Social media, right?
Yeah,
Social media.
So
And,
we did one, and like it was complete fluke. The whole first half, we did an hour and a half. The whole half, the audio was good. Mics were plugged in. It still said recording, and then for some reason, there's no audio after like 45 minutes. I'm like, I didn't do anything there. It's like fuck.
Technology. Hey, listen, it's a love and hate relationship.
Yeah.
Especially in podcasting, it's a love and hate.
Because it's like
relationship.
there's nothing you could do at that, and like even why like this really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because this is the second time I used that dummy battery.
Yeah.
Because the first time I
You
used
gotta
it,
stop jinxing, man.
I know. I guess it's like what's meant to be is meant to
it's all
be.
good.
But I was like, the first couple times I used it, it would only go for. I was like, oh, this is just this is a shitty one off Amazon. I got to get another one, you know. And then yesterday or the day before I did, it was today Thursday. Yesterday I did one 2 hours, and you know it's good to go. And knock on wood, this one is too.
Sure,
But
it will be.
I'm just curious. It's
It
obviously
happens,
that's
man.
like
it's. I think if any podcaster say they don't have any hiccups, like I've never had the time where I've turned on the mic and I'm like, do I know what I want to say? Because I was having like an agenda, especially with solo shows. You can't just free think shows, right?
Yeah,
You gotta
definitely.
at least, right?
Yeah.
So it happens. It happens. Sometimes it happens. I've had podcasts where it's out of sync. But what I love about editing, copy, cut, paste, copy, cut, paste, line it all up.
So
right?
again, to kind of go back on that, when you record audio, it's you're recording to your phone.
No, so I use a program called Riverside FM, which I'm probably gonna move off of. There's just some hiccups with it, right? And I've already gotten disputes with them. Zoom is good now. It wasn't in the past. I don't know if you ever when you're doing. It had that squirrely noise. So when you're talking, and like you can see it's over compressing because I feel like it's overworking.
Yeah.
So with Riverside, it separates the audio and the video, right?
Yeah.
And which I love. And now other programs are starting to do that. Zoom's starting.
Do you put the full interview or full podcast up?
I do.
On YouTube?
I do.
Just like a raw. No, I mean, you'll edit like to your full version. But you'll put that up.
I'm going to stop doing that. I think because it goes back to what I was saying, is have certain specific key points. Because people's attention span is not there anymore.
Yeah.
So they'll watch it for like a half an hour and it's like, okay, all right, cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe people would rather have it on the commutes if they're running, they're walking, and then doing the podcasting. Yeah. Personally, me, I don't necessarily do that. If I'm sitting at home and I'm just like maybe scouting a next guest, I'll put on a podcast. Right?
Yeah.
Or I tend to watch podcasting clips now. So like Joe Budden podcast, right?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite podcasts, right? And things like that. He has this thing separated in clips. And it makes more sense because a lot of people don't want to listen to the whole show.
So, but you'll still have the audio on the full show on there.
Still on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you search your podcast.
Yeah. So it's the YouTube that you're really doing. So should I just don't want to. I don't want to not have that full thing because like I would be doing a disservice to myself. I love although it's on Spotify now with Joe and not YouTube necessarily, but I guess his YouTube is still all just clips.
Well, but he signed that deal, so I don't know exactly what he can put out and not put out.
So his JRE channel is just like a clips channel now versus it used to be like, so maybe I need to like do one of each almost.
What I would say is do what works for you, right? I feel like what works for you and always ask the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one thing I say in content creation is always ask your audience.
Get some feedback.
And you know what I mean? One of the things for me, I didn't really interview a lot of women.
Yeah.
And in 2020, I got a lot of people asking me, like, listen, get more female content.
Yeah, because I made a point to like, I don't want to get into 50 or 100 so actually yesterday, do you know Sarah from OEV?
I've heard of her.
Yeah. And she was on. I was like, oh, that was really good. Like that got it out of the way. It's like, not that there's hesitation by any means, but it's like, the hesitation in itself is like having a list of your friends and people you approach to have on, maybe as a male or naturally more male. And I wanted to like get that out of the way quickly that you'll see females on here and stuff like that.
So when maybe I'll say this, let's just do it. And I hope people actually say, yes, we need to see that. When are you going to bring Jade on?
Well, to ask her, Jade, when are you going to come on?
I asked her.
Yeah, I know. And she's like, I don't know why. I think she's like, yeah, soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Soon, like,
you know what? Because it'd be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it would be a kind of a good conversation.
Totally.
It gives another depth of connection.
Yeah.
People are watching. Like,
even for us, right? Like for us meeting me and Jade, it's like, soon, hopefully. Like I'm pushing
I want to sit down with her.
Yeah.
Honestly, right?
Good.
There's two people in this gym. Heather's one.
Yeah.
And then your wife, Jade.
Yeah, honestly, for sure. Maybe I'll try and get her feet wet with it, but not try to, but honestly, to be a little selfish with it is like, I want to have her on because I'm super interested in that conversation. I'm sure this is one thing that I was kind of joke about is like the one person, the two people I want to see Joe Rogan have on are Jamie. So Jamie's his like, hey, Jamie, pull this up. So that's his like producer and his wife. Like none of those have ever come close to being a topic of a discussion, and I get it on
maybe
his.
Keep the personal life out
I
of
get that, but still, like you could still have it on and like not be necessarily like like in his limelight. It might be a little different.
Yeah,
but
well, I think the biggest piece is what I would want to know about you and Jade is like, how did you guys meet?
Yeah,
and like, how did this empire then become what it is?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, anything like that. Jade's it's kind of opposite because I'm not one like all the stuff she's does on social media and stuff like that, I would never dream of doing. And then when it comes to this, and this is like the real world things,
right?
But,
Real world, yeah.
But it's cool. Like I've. Side note, we're talking about the train. I'm like, how do I get rid of this train in the thing? And it's like, I've had a couple people just say, man, that's just real life things. Like people like real life feedback of what's going on. Like Kilo's not here right now, but the dog would sometimes come over and blah, blah, blah. So scratch that. Yeah. I want to get her on because I really think that once she breaks the ice of like this, and even just having her come back here and like we'll come and like, you know, we'll come back here and smoke a joint or something like that, and we're sitting across from her, and she's like kind of just like bullshit, like, hey, look at me, like, and nothing's on or anything like that, but she's getting a little bit more comfortable sitting here, and I for sure think she will. To get to my point is, I would love to have her host people.
Wow.
Like her, you know, like this is what, as far as like HQCo, meaning like high quality conversations, it's like that's as generic as it gets.
There's a lot of talent, like I said, in this surrounding area. And the ones that are watching this, like, root people on. We're not saying to force feed and get you to come on and sit down in a podcast, but let's have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're going to be so much more strong with the community behind you.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And things like that. And it's like, even in the gym scene, like, there's so many gyms that I'm connected to through my job.
Yeah.
And it's like, you see a lot of the owners come in and things like that. And it's like, okay, well, finally you get to meet these people.
Yeah, totally.
And what's so crazy is that with being in London, a lot of these different accounts be adding you on Instagram. You're like, oh, damn, okay.
That's been like I've had two others. So Corey, Fit Club.
Yeah.
And Jacob, and then Sarah, like, a common denominator between like I'm friends with them aside from being like in the same industry and gym owners. It's like we've had a conversation with each of them was like, fuck, we should get like, where's all the other gym owners? Like, we should have a big, like, this opens barriers or like breaks down barriers to like,
maybe let's get them all up in here.
Exactly. And we're like, let's just have a panel of gym, like, or whatever that like whatever that like niche is that day. But getting back to Jade, I was like, I would really like, I, as a viewer, would be interested in her sitting here with her girlfriend sitting across the table, just shooting the shit, just like me and Paul did, you know, on a Friday night, like having a glass of wine or whatever. It's like, that would be cool. Selfishly, that would be probably better for the podcast than like me sitting there. But, you know, it's like, it gives a totally different dynamic.
Right? Yeah. And the thing is, it's something that we need to see.
I know. So like,
rooted on.
Yeah, I think it will. I got to get her on. I've been like, it's one of those, it comes back to like not realizing how casual it is as soon as you're like 10 seconds in, right? Like this conversation would be maybe not the length of it, but this is the same shit we would talk about.
But no, I appreciate this conversation though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you're such, I've always heard about you, right? And then when I found the time to meet you, I was like, this guy's a pretty chill guy.
Yeah, chill's fine. Yeah, I'll take chill. Like that's
like
all.
Chill, cool. You know,
no, I get that. No, that means a lot because that's like, I'm proud of that, I guess, and like I'm not trying to be. It's just luckily how like probably my personality is. But
did you ever compete
in bodybuilding?
Yeah.
I did.
What made you stop?
Life, honestly, the gym business. I got to the point where I was like, so for the first couple years of the gym, I opened the gym in 2015, and then it was nice and small, and I was like, I'll make my living as a personal trainer as everyone else does. At that time, I was competing. I was like early 20s, 22 or something like that, 7 years ago. So 22, 23, and I did that and was like, prepping and like working long hours as a trainer. And I was like, as a couple years went by, I was like, I can't progress this gym or like progress as a business owner or an entrepreneur competing. Like, it's either all competing and like for 6 months of the year, your life's on hold.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you do it right. Like, I was never by any means like going to be the top of the tier or anything like that. But either way, if you're true to yourself in your bodybuilding, like 9 times out of 10, you're all in.
Facts.
So that was like, in order to, I realized after a couple times, I was like, I want to just, I want to grow the business. I've said, and I guess maybe it's still there, but I've said that like if in X amount of years I'm at a point where I don't have to work for 6 months, or I can just like let things work on their own, and I can take 6 months off, and I have a passion to compete at that point, that's when I'll like re-enter it. But I don't think that's like, especially with my training and everything in the last little bit, I've in Tatum, I've prioritized like, I don't want to say the word health because I'm not like I'm not eating all the best foods or anything like that, but I don't, there's not a big draw to there's even less of a draw to the unhealthy side of like competing and stuff. So long story short, it was like you either put life on hold and compete, or you just continue to grow the business. And even if I would have competed another 2 or 3 years, I'd just be 2 or 3 years behind where I am now.
This is about to be a part of the business now, though. The podcast.
Good. Right. Like that's the thing is like, luckily the gym and everything and the other businesses are at a point where I can do this. And it's like if the gym was half of what it is, I'd probably want this to monetize as quickly as it can, do this, grow. And then I feel like you lose the right reasons. I feel like I would lose the right reasons at that point versus just being able to like, fuck, I've had this space for a year. Let's buy some equipment and do it. It's fun. Like, let's see where it goes. Like, I like that on myself a lot more than like,
and it's such an organic way because you're not putting a lot of thought into
That's it. That's all it is. Organic as possible.
I feel like when I look back at 2016 when I started this, I was never talking about monetization and anything like that. Now, this year, it's not only about the monetization, because monetization is not even about getting the money, because there's so many ways you can monetize. Through merch, right? You can monetize through, if you're going to release a workout program, a course, whatever you want to do. And there's brands that are out there that just by you having this setup may see something like, hey, like, listen, it could be a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Totally.
It could be Grey Goose. It could be whatever. It could be Gatorade, Powerade, who knows, whatever. It can be there, right? So it's like, that's monetization.
So what is like, what's monetization look like for you? Do you eventually want to make the podcast your full-time income and everything like that?
Right now is in an interesting development stage because there's courses that are coming, right? Like I mentioned, there's a podcasting course coming. Just by being a life coach, I've done a lot of how do I say this, private type of consultations and things like that. Yeah, for sure. But now it's about really knowing that there's, like I mentioned, there's the merch,
a business end to it.
The merch is there, but I've never released merch, right? And I know there's a development for that, but I'm looking at bigger brands now. And there's things that you see coming in the inbox, and you're not even going out looking for it. You're like, okay, but not every brand deal you look at.
I don't know how much you want. Like, how close are you? Like, what percent loaded are you from 0% to 100%? 100% being quitting your job, full on making enough money just to like chill, or like not chill but be stress free of paying your bills. Like, I'll say 50% there, or you're there.
We'll say this. A lot of things you got to keep close to the chest.
Yeah, like, and that's why, like,
which is fine.
No, for sure.
And because there's,
I guess you don't want to say that because now there's fucking people there like, whoa, what the fuck are you like?
That's what I'm saying, right? But there's little things that are going on right now, right, Ian, that I always say is you got to be careful in certain scenarios because eyes are on you in such a way.
For sure.
So there's like that one deal that if you say the wrong thing, you could lose that deal. Right?
Totally, yeah.
And I always say is there's the things that I'm seeing in my inbox lately that I'm just like has me going interesting. Yeah. Another thing is when people seek you out. Like I've had plenty of people that are like, "Yo, I want to come on your show." Yeah. And you're like, well, how the hell did they find my show?
That's like kind of, not to interrupt, but like that's I think you hit that good on what I was saying about being that place that like ultimately it would be cool if people, I guess I kind of said it, approached you to be on your show, to vent, to explain their situation. Like that would be cool. So you're seeing that now where people are starting to seek you out. And like,
right? That's what I'm saying. So when it goes back to the branding, like there's so many deals that are out there.
Cool. Yeah. You just got to be creative and open-minded and like
find the right one.
Whatever is meant to fit into your like business plan.
Because you get a lot of like, and I'm not knocking it, the affiliated things I'm not a part of.
Yeah.
Because you can literally make whatever. Like, you see me picking up the bottle. That could, you never know. That could be product placement.
Yeah,
It's
for
not
sure.
on the table, right?
Yeah.
But it's just those little things. You got to look at what makes sense. You know what I mean? You have the bar back there. That could be a liquor deal.
Yeah, totally.
Like I said, that could be Grey Goose, that could be Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
You never know. For me, it could be Smart Water, it could be Fuji Water, it could be Evian.
Yeah.
Those are those little things. I always have to take a sip of water when I'm talking to podcast. I don't know how you're talking for this long and you're not having taken a sip of anything.
Yeah, that's one thing. Is like, you know what's funny about that is I go to this little place. It's like I call it mini Costco. It's a cash and carry, so it's like a Costco, mini Costco for like convenience stores, blah blah. Today I went and I'm like, fuck, I gotta have a loaded fridge over there full of stuff to like offer my guests, and like I failed. Day one, I failed. I didn't offer you any of the cool drinks I got over there, but I do. Like I know I do, and that's just stuff that you learn over time, and like.
For sure.
Yeah, now you say that, I need to go fucking get some water. But you know, it's like I just want to be accommodating and like have a nice, relaxed environment that, like, you know, if there's couches over here, there's a bar over there.
Dude,
like,
I came in here and I said, this is like a little bit of the no jumper setup, right? And so it's like, if you got like the fan interaction, you got people in here,
right?
Man,
and that's it's like
it could get interesting because then it's like you change up this position. Like I remember there's a guy that's on the No Jumper podcast by the name of Sharp.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Whatever.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah,
I listen. I don't listen to everyone. Or anything.
One of the conversations he had, the girl that he was talking with, there was the audience. And he's like, he turned himself. And he's like, "Yo, you hear what she's saying? You hear what she's saying?"
Yeah.
And like you can hear the chatter and stuff like that. But it's like it makes it more interactive.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna pan to the crowd, but you know there's a crowd that's there.
Yeah.
So it's like, the more you keep going into this, and maybe you have certain people that come in here.
That's what I totally want to do. Is
"Yo,
like,
can I have my friends come here?" And it's
100%
nice, chill vibe, as long as everybody keeps it respectable and all that good stuff. Right?
Yeah. Like No Jumper, right?
No Jumper. I know,
It's like
crazy,
the most
man.
wild thing out
They're
there. Sometimes,
so wild. Oh my!
But I mean,
God.
that's their demographic too. Like that's
yeah.
like comes with the territory. I feel,
for
but
sure.
that's like it. And but at the same time, I don't want to be like, yo, bring someone so that we can pan over to them or not pan over to them, but we can get their opinion in the background. It's like I still just want it to come completely organic.
The way you got the setup, man, it's such a rewarding thing, because it's like I'm looking at so many opportunities that can be just done, like having a person here, having a person right here, and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just really commanding the ship that way.
Yeah, the next for me is like once I bought nice chairs, so I've just slowly been able to, like, I've slowly wanted to justify it to myself to like make certain upgrades and stuff like that. But the next thing, once I've had a couple podcasts with multiple guests, is like then getting the cameras, so like one's pointing on us two over here, and then but that's another like
you're gonna do all that editing?
Well, no, right? Like I'll get someone, or I don't know, it's got to scale up accordingly.
You got to think, you got this camera here, which is good, but then you have to have the camera here and then the camera pointing there. So every time we're talking, you have that, then you got to keep cutting in this. I want to cut and paste.
I'm just hoping there's a program for that.
That's like 3 o'clock in the morning, man.
Right? Like, I don't know. At that point, like maybe you have someone do it or whatever. Sure. But that's why I just want it to scale accordingly. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And if it does, and it just keeps. I just don't. You know what I mean?
That's
like I don't believe that. I don't believe it won't.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be clear that like.
How long has it been on this? Have you been doing this now?
I don't know. A couple weeks.
A couple weeks. You got like what, 10, 15 episodes?
This will be 15. It's been you know what, right after New Year's was like I'll start it. So from day one, it's probably been like maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks. It's almost 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months basically.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, I will. And that's why it kind of is easy for me to keep doing it, because it's just fun. Like I'll do it as long as it's fun for me. As soon as it loses it, like and I feel like a burden on anything else, then it's like,
Maybe you turn into Adam 22, and then he doesn't really sit there on the podcast anymore. It's like he gives the space to other guys to do what it is he needs to do, because he looks at it to be a network.
Yeah, and that's where it is, right? Like Jade, that's where it'd be cool to plug in Jade, or like like anyone. I don't care, man. Anyone who wants to do it.
I would say keep it as where it's going, and maybe transition to a network.
Yeah, and
then just have this filtered rotation through people. Yeah, as long as it's done underneath the umbrella, that's the most important.
That's like even to have someone on, like when we were saying about the UFC nights, it's like I could make an awesome setup over here where everyone's watching UFC, and I have a couple fighters or like you know, people who know their shit about UFC to like host that episode, and maybe I'm the one sitting on the bench or over there drinking
before.
Coming in and out.
There's addition. You see this collaboration?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
There's some fighters in the city. I'm pretty sure.
I know. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, for sure.
Get them coming.
And even not even fighters. Just like there's even a lot more like, you know, fans, like long lifetime fans of like that know more than shit than the fighters do themselves.
Well,
but
you know who else you need to get in this chair? Lem.
For sure. I'll go write him on the thing.
Oh, yeah.
He actually might already be on the board over there.
Really?
But
I might want to be in here for that one.
Come, like, fuck.
Yeah, sure.
So you, Lem, and who, or not even, like, and we could set it up 100%.
Yeah, man, that'd be a good conversation. He's got a lot of insight.
Yeah, he does.
That's a lot of insight. That's my guy.
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely do that. Definitely. Like, so, okay, so give me, you got any other people that, like, I don't know, like, just.
In the city here?
Yeah, and I don't want you to even think too hard about it. Just something that's, like, someone that would fit, and I'm not saying I would, you know, as an advice type of thing, like, you got to link up with this person, or like, you don't have to answer it right now. Maybe it comes.
We'll
it'll
keep
just
that
present
off-air conversation.
Yeah,
off-air.
for sure.
There's some people, I just because they probably see that and they'll be like, "Is he giving me a shout out?"
Yeah,
yeah. I'm giving you a shout out. We want to see you in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I said again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Collaboration is so essential
for sure,
especially right now.
Yeah, and that's why I like having only really pertaining to people or conversations that are face to face. Like, I can't focus on all the conversations I won't be able to have because, you know, someone can't fly in to sit on here. But I was like, fuck, maybe in 5 years from now, I have the resources to bring someone cross country in, to have, you know, to make a night of it, to have this, and, you know, make an event of it for them.
Well,
but
that's what I'm saying. Like, the more that this could build, you think about how Canada and even London, we get some of these certain people that come here.
Yeah.
You have your podcast studio, you build enough credibility, maybe there's an opportunity.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so what we just simply sat here and we talked about the whole Jordan Peterson thing.
Yeah.
You never know. Because
never know.
I know that when they did their show in Miami, they went on the person's podcast.
Yeah.
She went on there for like an hour. She was crunched to limited time, but she went there and she did it. Right?
Where do you know where he's going here? Like,
I know that it's not in specific order. I know there's Toronto, there's Hamilton, there's Kitchener, and I can't remember the next spot.
Because he was he at Convention Center?
No. Not that I know
one
of.
point?
Not that I know of, no. He's an American tour right now, but when he does the Canadian side, I know it's Hamilton, there's Kitchener, there's a place in Toronto, London, and there's another spot.
I like that though. His daughter would be awesome to talk to, because like I've heard
that transition time is like, are you gonna come before the show?
You got to plan it out, the logistics.
Talk to their peoples.
Question: Do you wear headphones?
I have to, right? That's the other thing when you're doing remote.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I feel like for me, I gotta listen to it. I've always wondered, why do people have the headphones in? It's because it's a different scenario, because you're listening to the ears and it tunes out all of the surround, the ambient
Do you
noise.
think this would be a different conversations with like having these?
No.
Should I be wearing headphones?
I think
No, right?
I can hear you clear.
Yeah.
I think when you have more people in here, it could be different, because where I'm talking here, somebody could be over there.
Yeah.
You may not catch what it is I'm saying.
From the gist of it, I've understood that it'll really help eliminate people talking over one another.
Yes.
If there's like multiple, if there's 4 guests here, it's like,
It depends how spicy the conversation is too,
yeah,
because it can get spicy.
that's right. Yeah. And it's like, you know, what state are you in? If you guys are all, you know, drinking or like whatever.
I'll say this. I challenge anybody who wants to come on here and talk about a relationship episode, right? That's kind of one of the things I want to do. I want to get into like, why are modern day relationships looking like the way they are?
Yeah.
With a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've done it, experimented with some stuff, and they don't get heated per se, but there's some views that are there.
Like, from who would that person be? Like like
Mixed demographic. I would say maybe, see, the way I want to do this, a single male, somebody that's married, somebody that's does whatever they want to do, and then somebody that's kind of plays both sides.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting depth.
Like panel kind of.
Panel conversation. I give you the idea if you want to do that.
What it would I'm
Let's
like,
do it.
me and you could be part of the
Let's do
panel.
it.
Like,
Let's
for
do
sure.
it.
Why not?
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like,
and I think like I want to mix the ages a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm 37. You're
30.
You're what?
I'm 30. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were older than that.
No, I'm 91.
Okay. 84.
Jade's 87. I'm 91. Yeah,
Yeah,
30. I
you
just
guys
turned
were
30.
like, damn, you guys are young, eh?
Yeah, I just turned
Young
30.
spring
I'll turn
chickens,
31 this year, right?
Yeah.
I haven't turned 31. Yeah, I just turned 30. Yeah, I just turned 30 in October.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I thought you were around the same age.
So
right?
I mean,
age
at
ain't
that,
number
like,
anyways,
yeah,
right?
it's
It is what
not,
it
but
is.
it's people don't. I do get that a lot, especially like now that the gym's kind of proven itself. Like I started that gym when I was 23, right? So it's like I was always not ahead, but like probably on the more, I don't know if the word mature is right, but like on the older side versus younger side, I feel for sure, but. Yeah, like it's definitely, and even like I'm really interested in getting my parents on here and just having a dialogue conversation with my mom or dad, or all like my mom, dad, and brother, like just all the different dynamics that you can have.
You've earned my subscribe on YouTube.
Perfect.
Honestly, no,
Yeah.
straight up, because like it's love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm definitely gonna check out I believe the one that you just uploaded is with the girl from
Sarah.
OEV,
Yeah.
Right? Shout outs to OEV Fitness and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's weird. I get that too. It's like even you do lose some of that just uploading a 2-hour long thing. It's like most people are not going to get past 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. I mean, like
I'll say this will be the highest viewed one. We'll make sure of that.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
It probably will be, right?
Highest viewed one. You know what I mean? And whatnot.
And there's still like, so what's your most? Do you have a most viewed or like listened to?
Most viewed listen to podcast. That's a database I got to go through. I can give you like a rundown of some like the ones in the last like 4 or 5 months.
How many what would be a
one of my highest ones would have been with Jedson Trevenier.
Okay.
He was on Big Brother.
Yeah, I know him. You watch Big Brother?
I watched Big Brother. So
how'd you get that? That's fucking unreal.
So this, relations in the city and things like that.
But where's he from?
He's in like Toronto area right now.
So did you have a connection to him?
Have a connection. Yeah. From just being here in London, and then
pre Big Brother.
Pre-Big Brother.
Okay.
The man shot up. He's literally, you don't see this clip now, but he shot up on TikTok, and then I saw him on Big Brother. When I brought him onto the episode, I had to make a phone call to get that connection, right? Because I was like, if I DM him, like he came out of the house, so I already know DMs are going crazy, right?
Yeah. So you got him after Big Brother.
Got him after Big Brother, and when he came on, I was like, listen, when I found out you were on Big Brother, I was telling everybody, it's like, yo, Jetson's on Big Brother.
That's
hilarious. On March 2nd.
I know.
Funny thing is, I was gonna audition for it.
It's not out of question.
You're right.
I liked it. I convinced Jade into liking it, and like we fell off in the last season.
Really? This last season was crazy good.
Okay, who won the Canadian one?
Tyshawn Newman Carter. Yeah, I actually he came on the podcast also too.
No way.
Yeah, man.
Wow, that'd be cool.
That was a good conversation. That was a very, very good conversation.
That would be cool. I'm a Big Brother fan. It would be awesome to be able to pick a mind of someone on Big Brother.
It can be set up and be done.
Yeah, that's really cool to me.
Jedson was just in the city last weekend. I didn't get a chance to meet up with him.
That's cool. So
schedules.
Have you been a Big Brother fan forever?
I watched the American one back in 2010, 2011, and it kind of fell off. But then when this came about, I was like, what was going on?
That is
I was
hilarious.
just up at that, just up the street there. It was one of my friends last year. Where does that play? What's the bar area right across from Budweiser Gardens up there? It's like diagonal.
I don't know.
It's like a bar and grill. We sat there.
Yeah.
And I looked at my
Shoeless
watch.
Joe's or something like that.
Sure.
Whatever.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I looked at my watch and I'm like, yo, Big Brother starts at 7. I go, like, I'm gone. And he's like, you would. I go, yeah, of course. I'm like rooting on Jets. I'm like, yo, I want to see my man win.
That's hilarious. That would be cool. So
yeah.
You say you used to. Would you ever entertain the idea of going on?
So a couple of my coworkers were like, you should audition. Do you have
Yeah.
the exposure? And I said, guys, it's not about the exposure for me because I'm humble that way. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, I've been in this space. You could elevate the podcast. I'm like, guys.
Yeah, that wouldn't be
you'd
my first thing either.
Surprised, like what I'm doing right now. Like I'm doing what I need to do. I'm holding my own.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if that would, the thing is, I see what happens when you post an episode or you post a clip. And when you get all those likes and everybody's like this, it can become overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes what I just do is I just chill for a bit. I interact within the first 15 minutes and then I put my phone down.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'll still see the notifications, but I'm not addicted to the notifications.
Yeah.
Because I think when you get in that high up, it can be so overwhelming, and after a while you're like, oh my god. Like,
Yeah, but even that answer there is like, but you wouldn't want to go on just like you're not a big enough fan to want to go on.
I would go on, but I'll say this: if I went on, I'd probably win.
I would not if I was on the season.
Yeah, what makes you say that?
no, I don't know.
We do a secret alliance, right?
Exactly. That's like I'm like low key like, oh, me and Jade could get on there and we don't know each other at all. It's like one of those things.
The thing is, what I realized with that show is you can't position and be a big target.
Yeah,
you got to stay under the radar.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is, if they didn't turn on Jedson the way they did, Jedson wins the whole season.
Yeah, for sure.
Guaranteed he wins it, right?
Who won that season?
That was the last season.
That was it?
That was last season, yeah. So Tyshawn won. Because Tyshawn made the ultimate chess move.
Oh, okay. So I did see that one. I didn't see the American one.
I didn't watch the American one.
The Canadian one's back on this year.
Yep, March 2nd.
This soon coming up. Because they did a celebrity one that's on like
that would have been
actively.
The American one. I think it was the American one, right?
It might have been. Yeah, you're right.
Because I know they have I think they have an Australian one, an American one, and a Canadian one.
Yeah, so the American one this year was probably the celebrity one, which you're right, it probably would just be ending or already ended, and then the Canadian one.
And another fun fact, one of my business mentors, I don't want to butcher her name, Brittany Malachuk.
Yeah,
right? I believe she's going on a popular show. She kind of hinted onto it on social media.
Yeah.
I think she's going on The Bachelorette, right?
Really?
So I don't watch that.
Me neither. I haven't. But like, cause that's I don't know. Maybe that's my opinion as a pretty avid Big Brother fan. Is like I feel like that's pretty authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. People are gonna be like, "You're an idiot if you think that's real." Like, but I don't know. That's why I'd be awesome to talk to him about and see like what was your conversation with him about? Was it about Big Brother?
It was about a lot because there's only certain guidelines because they're still under contract.
Yeah,
right. So you gotta stay in between the lines there, and I had to reach out to like the team and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that go on in showbiz.
Yeah,
right. So you know how that is.
Just can't talk about certain stuff or whatever. But did you talk about like what was your like was it interviewing a Big Brother contestant or was it interviewing him that had Big Brother in his repertoire?
It was more interviewing him because there was a lot of ties to like London, Ontario.
Okay. Him
being in health and fitness, and hats off to that man. Like I'm tipping my hat. He's like me and you, humble, quiet, building strategic, and I'm watching everything that he's doing. All you can do is root that on, right?
Oh,
and I think
I gotta just make sure I.
Yeah, like
follow him.
Yeah, follow him, dude. He's such a humble dude. You know what I mean? And I know he's gonna come back to the city and stuff like that. But like Jedson Trevanian, man. Like hats off to this man. You know what I mean? A kid that.
Yeah, there he is.
He's got it, man. He's got it. He's got so much.
So is he a Toronto guy?
Toronto guy, yeah,
or whatever. More or less.
Giving him so much cosign on this, you might want to cut the check.
That's hilarious. That's like,
yeah. I'll say this, like. And so many people are like, look at how many guests you've had. Like, I've had a lot of different guests.
Yeah.
From a lot of different AORs, from showbiz to TV personalities, things like that.
When you started it, was it like, did you intentionally leave the door open to be able to host all those people? Like,
I think it happened naturally. I think it happened organically.
That the door stayed open?
Yeah, I think it happened organically. And I was just like, whatever is going to happen, right?
Yeah, because that's one thing that I want to make sure I keep the same is like I never want to be in the position to not be able to have someone on because they don't fit the mold of the show or anything like that. And like that would suck, if it's like, I would love to have you on, but unfortunately you just like you don't fit the parameters to what we talk about in the show. And I don't think I'll ever have that problem because the main thing about this show or podcast is like it just being kind of way generic that like
so and I do another co-host of another basketball show which these guys are out in the UK
but like even there right if you only had a basketball podcast you couldn't have like Jedson on maybe or like maybe him if he like but like me I don't know anything about basketball so
it's different right because when you think about like having your one specific set show you would then have to maneuver in that area and things like that. Like I know a couple guys that do basketball shows and guys that are actually on TV personalities.
Yeah.
And it's the on TV personalities, you can bring it back around and talk about how did they get to where they got to. You know what I mean? And things like that. But versus like you just have a set show that you're talking about hoops, it's kind of a little tough and challenging.
Yeah. So I mean to ask this, when you talk about like life coach and stuff like that, is that, do you have life coach like business aside from your podcast, or is that kind of like your podcast is your kind of like life business, lessons type of thing?
No. So it's so funny because it's funny that you say that, because the life coaching is still in the podcasting, but I've paused because I'm working on some things on the back end.
So you paused, did you have life coaching clients and stuff like that? Okay. So that was
what I was doing all 2020, 2021.
Okay, cool.
Right. And then I just put it on pause. Right. So sometimes the website goes up and it goes down on purpose. I do that.
Yeah.
Because like there's other things that I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And just watching that type of
Did you have that website before you started the podcast, or like
the website's just a landing page? Honestly, I'll be honest. Like you don't have to make your website too technical. As long as it's something that people can just refer back to.
But even like you started the podcast, was it like you started it and it was like, ooh, like enough people care about what I'm saying and I could probably provide additional services? Sure. Or it was like, I've had this, you know, like not to like, I have this half-ass life coaching business, and then that podcast came after, or it was kind of a result of the podcast?
Everything meshed together. So I'll kind of give you the long story short of that. So 2020, we got into COVID, that word. Right? I was at a gym just up the street and whatnot, and COVID just kind of retired me. Like Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Jordan retired. But I came back with 45, so I said, listen, let me double down, get back, like do the podcast still. And then Dr. Eric Thomas, I don't know if you're familiar with motivational speaker.
I should be, right?
E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yeah. I know. Yes, I do know. I do.
So he has his life coaching.
You had him on? Have you had him on?
Whoa. No.
I am. Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't be here right now if that was the case, right? But who knows what happens in the future, right? But I did his life coaching business.
Cool.
And Ian, I'll tell you something. It was so cool and rewarding to watch a man that I've been following since 2012, and I met him in 2016 in November at one of his conferences, signed a book and all that stuff. But to get into his coaching program and to get up 7 o'clock in the morning when he's on the West Coast time, and just seeing him talk to us, and then going through everything, and then the team meetings and the different things, and then get fully certified, was amazing.
Yeah.
You know? I'll say some, and I'll probably say this even on the podcast, it's exclusive. I actually was privy to see, you watch football though?
Yeah.
So Odell Beckham.
Okay, right?
Odell Beckham won the Super Bowl, plays for the Rams. I actually had a chance to see a 15-minute coaching seminar between him and Eric Thomas and Odell Beckham.
Cool. No way.
And it was pretty surreal because I like Odell.
Yeah.
And to see your mentor, your coach, the one you got the certification with,
getting the same
talk to Odell Beckham, top 5 well-known NFLer.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've told people this, like people that are close to me this, but I bring it here to you, and it's just like it's so rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely.
Those spaces, you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
I'm on the it puts you in a way. It definitely puts you in that realm of like, maybe you just have that much because you value Odell, like you look up to him or whatever. It's like you are in a way connected. You are connected because it's like
And one thing I'll say this too is, as we're winding this down, is like I am in a position now where I try to keep my circles that tight.
Yeah,
because the more you grow, the more people you're gonna have access to you. People see what you're doing. They see the guests. They see, there's people that, like I said, I'm just not only in London, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So when I look at sharing this on social media and hyping this up on social media, I know that people are gonna be like, yo, okay, Rory was there. Like, yo, where's that studio? That place looks sick, whatever. You know what I mean? But you have to keep your circle tight in such a way, right?
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot that happens, and you don't want to get pulled in different directions.
Yeah.
You don't want to have liabilities around you. So, and that's just with business.
Yeah.
You know
I think I totally get
Yeah.
that. And maybe not on a, but even just, like my experiences from the gym and like, you know, like it does as you grow with more credibility and what people see you're able to do. That's definitely,
and you have to, and it's not like you're having an ego.
No, but it's a mature
it's
thing.
Personal.
Like,
it's personal. And you know what? Sometimes it happens. Not all the same friends you grow up with are going to always be there. You know what I mean? Like if I was to ask you, you open up this gym, you're doing the health and fitness thing, you open up this gym, how many people were with you till you open up this gym? You know what I mean? Are they the same people that still remain there?
Yeah. And
so
even
as
just
you're growing and as you're learning things, shit changes, man.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I got one more question for you.
Right
and I want you to be completely honest with me.
We can do this.
I want you to tell me one thing that I can improve on, and whether that's like things I say or don't say, and that you might not tell me because you might feel might get insulted on it.
Well, you said it a lot of times. Stop saying try. You say I'm trying to do this, right? So from a coaching perspective, life coaching thing, and I mean this with love.
I get that.
Stop saying try and just do it. Believe. It's like with me. I always say I never try to say I think. I always say I believe. That's for me.
Sure.
When I believe I'm going to do something, I'm going to achieve it. When I say I think, I feel like I'm setting limitations.
Sure. Okay. For sure.
Right?
I won't say it anymore. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, hone into your craft, hone into your skills. I feel like you could. Yeah.
And then I need one more advice. I find like when you hear yourself, like probably more so in the beginning, like what was that like? I found that, to be completely honest, I found that in the first couple, like there's 15 now. So say within the first 5, I didn't really listen to my own. I didn't really care, you know, and then maybe from 5 to 10, I was like, I heard how I was coming across and what my dialogue skills were lacking or where it was good or bad. And I was like, I just took that for what it is. And then I found that in the last couple, I don't want to use the word, the stuff that I didn't care about in the previous that I just kind of referred to. I don't want to start caring about my
I go you mean.
projection. Like, did you ever go through that where you cared about how you came across or even just how you sounded, how you heard yourself?
Yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning, I was very like talking the mic, huffing and puffing and things like that. And because I didn't know, I didn't go to school for radio broadcasting or journalism. What I loved about what you did when you first did your first little clips and what drawn me in is you posted, hey guys, I'm just doing this like the first time.
So just getting that out of the way in that way.
You were human and you posted that. A lot of people don't want to post the imperfections.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to post the fuck ups.
And that was like those ones maybe like those ones were, and even those is like, cause I don't care. Like if people see that this is my process, I don't care if you don't like it. And if you do, like, thanks for the support. So that was really easy for me to do.
So I'll give you this, not to cut you off. The Instagram reels where I'm like doing the lip singing things and I have like motivational pieces to it. It's to humanize myself, to tell people that I'm relatable. I'm just not a guy behind the mic. I do have that fun side to me. And it draws people in because then they can be like, I trust him in such a way.
Is it hard? Like, did you make yourself that person? Like,
I think it just happens naturally.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're going to see it, when you get into this, when you start talking more into the mic, you're going to have this different sense of where it's like, how can I create content around the mic? How can I create content that's more like, it could be like even a podcasting tip or whatever you want to do, but you can do it in such a way that people can relate to you.
Yeah.
And that's what drawn me into you. Like, you came to the store, we talked, and I was like, there's something there.
Yeah.
But then when I saw that and I saw that you had your daughter there, I'm like, that's that shit that's moving right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
That's
know
that
what you
stuff
mean.
that people can relate
So
to.
at the end of the day, it's like just circles back to like just being as authentic and like at letting your guard down as much as you can.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want you to answer that question though. Did you ever not like the way you sounded on a recording?
I had the feedback. I had the feedback from the get-go. So I had friends. I was like, oh, how does that sound? And they said that you can tell that you were talking a lot really fast.
Yeah.
So just kind of slow it down.
Okay, yeah.
And now you always will notice, I always take pauses because I always want to make sure I'm clear with what it is that I'm saying. And I call that like a pattern interrupt. I just did it right there, right? Those little breaks and pauses, because I'm very thoughtful about what my message is that's coming out. I'm not just da 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 da.
Yeah.
Then you like, you know what I mean? It just sounds like, okay, is that a machine gun that's coming out? No.
So that's what I want to hear from you, is that feedback of like, don't like, you know, take your time, whatever that is. And
no, dude, you got it. Like, I'll say this. Yeah.
I think I've slowly like, I'm picking up on things that like other podcasts, or like, I'll, you know, listen to yours or not to be redundant about Joe Rogan and stuff like that. But I see like, even though you tell me 10 things I agree with in a row, I don't need to say, 10 times in a row. Yes. Wait till you're done and say it. And so even when you're talking now, I've already picked it up to like not say yes every single time.
I think every podcaster that takes it somewhat serious will find people of influence. You say Joe Rogan's, for me, it's the Joe Buddens of the world. Some of the sports guys like the Colin Cowherds, the Skip Baylesses, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman guys, I don't necessarily watch it to what they're saying, but how they articulate in the delivery. So I'm studying how they are from a TV perspective, because a lot of the things they do is for smoke and mirrors, for the clicks on social media and the animations and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you see their delivery, then you're like, okay, that's what you got to do.
And that just evolves. Like no one can instruct you how to improve your delivery in this. It's just like, as long as you're self-aware and like picking up on different things like that, it'll come.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I want to be. It's like, I don't like the way I sound. Like I'll go through.
Nah, man, stop saying that.
I know.
You sound great.
I don't like, you know, other than, and I don't mean the quality of the thing. It's like everyone's like, your audio sounds awesome. It's like, well, it's easy to buy the best audio and set it up.
This
like
mic is powerful. This is like the staple.
I know, and that's like, and that's like when people that don't know that say your audio's so crisp. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care about that, because that's not me. Like, you know, if you're like, dude, if you want to do one thing to improve your podcast, stop saying like every 10 seconds. And then it's just a matter of being aware and like learning that and doing it that way. But
I used to say, when I did my solo pieces, I always used to say right. And then I heard myself, I was like, what if damn well I keep saying right?
Yeah. I guess that's the stuff that I'm talking about.
And because we're having a free flowing conversation. So it's like, it's hard. If I was to like listen back to it, how many times do you say, Ums are filler words. So once you can get out of the filler word situation and then add something else, you
totally. And then I found that being a host or being, you know, someone that provides conversation place, you have to like, I have to be observant enough to know that, you know, if me and you were talking downstairs, I would, you know, I was really digging what you're saying. I'd be like, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But when it's on the mic and it's like after the fact, people are listening to it, you have to be a little bit aware of how that comes across. I'm not saying, more than I would if we were sitting downstairs because I'm nervous. It's just almost sometimes maybe too natural of a conversation that, I don't know. You know, it's like at the same time, it's just got to be natural.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like even editing, you don't ever want to over edit your podcast. Like you want to keep some of the breaks and the pauses in there.
Yeah.
I see some people dress up their podcast and like, that's not natural. It's just one run-on sentence. There was no breaks. There's no pauses. There's no like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I do.
You know what I mean? Like, and I like that. You keep everything in it. So if there's a mess up, if there's an F up,
I don't care.
I kind of keep it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it's like, there's like a long break, like my second last episode I released, the guy got up in the middle of the conversation. I don't even think I edited out that of the video.
Either way, I know what you're saying, because, but you're almost expected to do that because it's a little bit more of an interview style, absolutely, right? Like I hope that if and so far I haven't had this like awkward silence with anyone, but I feel like if that were when that's to happen, I'd be like, well, this is an awkward silence, like, you know, or something that's just like purely organic on how we address that situation.
Listen, you're a natural. I'll give you that. You're a natural.
I think a lot of it's having to do talking to clients and stuff like that. I'm sure you get that from like just interacting with retail, people on all day on the daily day.
That's what made me. I was never a speaker, but
me neither.
When I worked at Apple 2012, built the Apple store there over there in the mall. I was like, I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Bam.
But that's different too, right? You're still just one-on-one with people being yourself. And like, that's what's with clients downstairs. You're one-on-one, and this is still one-on-one. I'm not interested to, interview people and just circle back
It's kinda
around.
like
And
an
it
interview,
is,
though.
but
It's
like
a little bit, yeah.
yeah,
It's another conversation
yeah,
at the headquarters.
yeah. So it's funny that way. But you got anything else?
No, man, this is love.
Okay, we'll do this a lot more.
Let's get it.
And you know
for
me,
sure.
like I genuinely mean this, and I've said this to like this space up here is open for anyone that wants to like use it to do something cool.
We're
Or
back outside, right? I feel like COVID's done.
pretty much. I
Yeah,
mean, like
let's-
especially up
we're
here,
back
like,
outside.
right? Like, well, we can have some panels. We can every now and
Let
then,
me
like,
know, man. Let me know.
let me you.
However, we can both help each other.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I mean?
if you don't feel, definitely do not feel obligated to have me on yours. But if
Why wouldn't I not have you?
I just don't
would
feel
record it here.
obligated.
I'd
If you
record
wanted
it here.
to,
I'd
would
record
you?
it
Yeah,
here,
sure. Like,
I have an interview. I want to pick your getting that mind there.
please do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Awesome,
My
man. Thank you so much
Love.
for coming. Okay.
Always.
Peace.